Okay. View on watch page. Gotta go back. Okay, open a new tab. And here we go. Reality Check Live. Episode 4 is live. I know you're thrilled. Let's see here. Let's open up the channel. Let's pull in a few people. Let's talk IRC. The MIRC. And we will invite a few people in to talk. I will admit I overate a little bit. Went to the store, managed to get a couple of dollars. Went to the store and got like some eggs and bread and milk and bacon and a few things to get me over the next couple of days. And I went ahead and bought a couple of bags of candy, some licorice and some black licorice and some red licorice and some gummy worms. And I had to force myself to put the things out of my reach, because I sit here and eat stuff like popcorn, and now I got a little bit of a tummy ache, and I'm still tempted to reach over there and get another licorice bit or gummy worm. Okay, let's see here. See if we got anybody coming into the channel. Hello, Mr. Meyer, Daniel Meyer. Number one fan, number one client, too. How y'all doing? Oh, ooh. Oh, serious, man. That's good licorice. Where's the bag here? It's a brand that's made in Australia. They use real licorice in the licorice whips instead of just artificial flavoring. Let's see. Aussie style Lucky Country soft licorice. 98% fat free. I feel so special. Soft, chewy licorice. They have black licorice, strawberry, cherry, apple, and pineapple. Interesting flavors. But, yeah. Hello, and it's Andrew Johnson, and it's Daniel Meyer, and we have, he's nobody else coming in. I swear, I'm going to start, running out on the street, dragging people in. Type something! But, pretend you're watching. But thus it goes. Okay, I wanted to spend today working on the next Space Ranger page. Let's see here. Can't find my stencil. Where's my stylus for my? It's here on the table somewhere. Typical. Barely even use it anymore. Feel like such a schmuck for that. Made about working. Not even drawing with my dominant hand. That's the thing of it. It's unsettling when you start. When something like that happens, I can't begin to describe it. It's because you don't perceive it as your weak hand getting stronger. You perceive it as your strong hand getting weaker, which kind of worries me. That'll make you nervous. Every day, don't go on the internet. I mean, you could go on there with bad gas and you're dying, and 3 pages later you're convinced you're dying of Ebola. Oh. Some of the people out there talking about the Ebola thing, I want to smack them. Well, more people are. So these obnoxious, sanctimonious twits going to, oh, more people die of heart disease and obesity in America than they'll ever die of Ebola. Yeah, well, eating too many Big Macs doesn't make your internal organs fall out your backside in a bloody flux. So you'll excuse the rest of reality for being a little more concerned about Ebola than about obesity. You can't diet and cure Ebola, all right? These stupid people, you're more likely to be struck by lightning than to be hit by a terrorist. And I'm like, well, yeah, but that doesn't mean I don't want those terrorists dealt with anyway. Let's make those odds even lower. I can't do anything about lightning. But terrorists are murderers. And they should be dealt with it. I swear, some of the stupid things people say. You ever heard the saying, oh, you're more likely to be killed by a cow than you are by a shark? Yeah, if you live in Kansas. It's stupid. They lump the statistics in from everybody, from the people who live on Miami Beach all the way up to the people who live in Colorado. You know, it's just, and lump it all together and see, you know, you're low. Of course, most people, you know, of course, the statistic is low because most people don't live within 100 miles of the ocean. Let's eliminate all the people who don't live near a large body of salt water, and then see what happens to the statistics. These dum-dums would go swimming down the Amazon. You're more likely to be hit by lightning than to be eaten by, eaten by piranha, and they're swimming right through in piranha-infested waters. You know, I think the odds are skewed in the piranha's favor. Statistics was supposed to be a tool for analyzing the universe. It's mathematics. It is logic at its most fundamental, and it is supposed to be a tool meant for illuminating the universe around us, helping us to get a grasp on it. Instead, as one spokesman put it, most people use statistics the way uses a lamp post. Not so much for as for something to lean on for support. You know, people blame statistics. You know, they all say statistics lie. No, people use statistics to lie. It's like this old saying, the camera doesn't lie. Oh, yes, it does. The camera can be used to lie just as effectively as anything else. It's just a matter of which angle you photograph at. You can change the entire layout. You can change the entire message of a picture just by changing the angle a little bit, or the lighting, or even the focus. So, you know, people trust cameras, but they don't trust carefully used statistics. Well, people are irrational. Statistics do not lie. Cameras do not lie. People lie. And if you're unwilling to learn how things like cameras or statistics work, then you're going to be easily deceived. I'm really getting tired of everybody making fun of America. Oh, you Americans are all fat. Oh, you Americans are all fat. Yeah, because we ate the last people that messed with us. It is really sad. Okay, obesity is a serious problem. When somebody is overweight, that's a problem. It needs to be dealt with. It needs to be treated. And it's bad for their health. It's bad for my health. I know. I know. I'm on the opposite side of skinny. Let's put it that way. But it's like society took all the moral common sense it had, all the censure it had for immoral behavior, and focused it on being fat. We used to be, as a culture, which included even the mainstream. We used to be contemptuous of immorality, of deceit, of it's just. But now the only thing that you can earn anybody's contempt anymore is if you're fat. You want to know how we could get rid of the Democrats in a decade? Just start feeding them Twinkies. I kid you not. Just fatten them up. Just bribe the White House. The White House and Capitol kitchen people just to start larding up all the menu. Just pack it full of calories. You know what I'm saying? Give them a couple of 5,000 calorie sandwiches. You know what I'm saying? Deep fried butter sticks. It's a congressional treat. If you fattened, if you made the people in Congress fat, the loathing of the American people would finally be aroused against them. Serious, I call it the Twinkie for Justice campaign. Just start mailing them fattening foods. Well, forget mailing powdered, drugs or viruses and stuff in the mail. Just forget mailing them bombs. Just mail them a box of Malomars. Well, hello, Senator. Would you like some more cake? Tell me it wouldn't work, too. Tell me it wouldn't work. The one thing everybody, Britney Spears, she got trouble. She's got a messed up life. But the one thing everybody had to say, oh, she's so fat. She had just given birth to 2 children and had spent months getting back in shape so she'd get back out on the road, and she was still, she had some baby padding around the middle. But she was in better shape than 98% of the people watching and criticizing her. All they could talk about how fat she was. Rush Limbaugh, oh, that big fat, blah, 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 blah. First thing out of their mouths, fat, 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 fatty, fat, fat. It's like living in a nation run by 6-year-olds. They're just. Take Obama, that jug-eared breadstick, start plumping him up. Make him look like that fat slob that runs the union in New York. I'm serious. Have you seen the picture of the Teamsters union? Let me see here. I've got to find this. This guy is unbelievable. Let's see. Images. Where's the images? Where's the image? I don't want to use Google Chrome yet. Images. Oh, well, let's try it this way. Images. Here we go. They keep changing the setting. Alright, let's see here. Let's see. I mean, this guy, here he is. Would you believe this guy is for real? Look at this. Let me see if I can. Well, doggone. Where's the image? There he is. Good night. Look at him. He's like every bad Saturday morning cartoon stereotype of a crooked union boss. Look at that. I mean, like, what did he do? Did he sit down with his daughter and his son in front of the TV on Saturday morning? Okay, let's see, Biker Mice from Mars. Oh yeah, looks like he looked, let's look like that for the public, I'm going to go out in public, heading up a union, looking like Lawrence Limburger. For those of you who don't know, this is the oh, where's the picture? Darn it, you click on a picture and it takes you to everything but. This is the main villain of Biker Mice from Mars, a cartoon back in the 90s. If we can get a picture up, close up of him. He was actually this stinky fish-headed guy from outer space. And he was trying to steal all the world's resources. Generally through incredibly stupid, the evil capitalist polluter shtick. But he wasn't as bad as, Captain Planet. Yeah, but you get the idea. It was, dang it! It just ask for an image, and what do? They've changed how the images display. Oh, for crying out loud! I want to look at the image. Well, anyway, you get the idea. This guy, and now we got this guy for real. Look at that, man. Gold necklace, gold ring on each hand, gold bracelets, big crew cut. He doesn't even have a double chin. He just has, like an inner tube. Where his neck should be. And Joe Ligotti. This guy's right out of Central Casting. Now take all those shriveled up crones and sleazy politicians, fatten them up to look like this guy. The American populace would turn on them in a heartbeat. Well, then again, they had Ted Kennedy. I mean, that guy was a mountain of blubber. and he stayed in power till the day he died. So there you go. Totally play something scary for Halloween. I'd love to play some music. I'd love to play some music on this, but I can't figure. First of all, I can't figure out how to get the music to play through it. Let's see here. Brooding, encoding options, device, audio format. It only. There you go. It's only taking. Audio capture device is a microphone, and I can't figure out how to change that. And it's one of the drawbacks. I got audio and system sound, but that doesn't work either. It just, I do not know. Double layered system here. I've got one pretending to be a camera so I can see my own desktop with it. But anyway. Just what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Everybody seems to be updating stuff this time. Filmfiction.net has updated its interface. Google's updated its interface. World of Warcraft, they're getting ready. The Warlords of Draenor thing is going to release in November, and they've already updated it. I've got to say, they've improved it a lot. They've tweaked a lot of things, and they always do. Some things got nerfed, something got boosted, but the graphics are really a lot better. They finally went back and updated the looks and the humans. Just for starters, gnomes and goblins, they just went in, and cleaned them up, updated them so that they look way better than they did. So, everybody doing an update now. Anyway. I've got a few people calling in, already. I haven't had any real whiners like I did with Star Trek. I got a lot of people calling in. Writing in is, you don't get it. It's supposed to be comedy. It's supposed to, the whole idea is that Warhammer is a parody of itself, and look, when something becomes a parody of itself. What's being overlooked here is when something becomes a parody of itself, it's because it's gotten so bad that it no longer lives up to what it was intended to be. Self-parody is not a brilliant style. It's a failure of style. but I'm apparently already starting to annoy them. People don't really know me too well, do they? They just don't quite get what motivates me. I mean, I don't know. Is this a bad part of me? Is this is this a bad part of my nature that I deeply want to get people's goat like this? I suppose when you're well, complaining about something, let's be honest. When you're trying, when you're kicking up saying, if you don't get a reaction, your efforts have been wasted. Protest. The idea of protest is to agitate people into action. And even if the people you're protesting don't even care about what you have to say, well, a little frustrating, isn't it? A little depressing. That bubble helmet design, the bubble helmet is so retro, but it really doesn't work. I'm sitting here thinking of a dozen different reasons why it's a bad idea, but once you go with a concept, you're kind of stuck with it. If I have to, I throw a bunch of techno babble at it. It's made of hyper transparent, duraluminoid. Harder than diamond, stronger than steel. Yep, that doesn't work. In the news, it looks like they're going to have a Guardians of the Galaxy animated cartoon. I saw a trailer for it. It's quite good. Looks quite good. But it drives me absolutely buggy. It's a petty little thing. It's a petty little thing. But it drives me absolutely buggy. Is that Rocket Raccoon is digitigrade. That is, he's got the crooked dog hind legs, stand on the toes, shaped legs. Raccoons are plantigrade. They're like little bears. Bears and raccoons, among other species, are plantigrade, like people are. Like human beings are. And it just like, no, that's wrong. It's just bugging me. I'm like, doggone it, doesn't anybody even look at a reference picture anymore? I used to do stuff like that myself when I was, was first getting on the internet. I was still just a kid messing around with art and stuff. And it was so aggravating, it was embarrassing when I found out. Skunks walk plantigrade. Bears walk plantigrade. Raccoons walk plantigrade. Humans walk plantigrade. But it's sort of become a meme. Everybody was trying to be more realistic by drawing their characters with, the dog's hind leg look. Not realizing that they were getting it completely wrong then too. Whoops. Yeah, get that little fiddly bit there. Um, am I the only one who's disturbed by the fact that so many people want to play the evil characters in a game? On one side, you're going, "Oh, it's just a game. You're just playing. You know, you play Cowboys and Indians. Somebody's got to be, the Indians. You want to play cops and robbers. Somebody's got to be the robbers. Just, I don't know. People seem to relish it too much. Too busy trying to sympathize and empathize with the villain. Where's the sympathy and empathy for the victims or for the hero? Most people miss is that a hero is often, the reason, many of the times the reason a hero becomes a hero is because he was one of the first victims. And that's the difference between idolizing victims and idolizing heroes. The reason I brought that up is on World of Warcraft, I've played pretty much every race they have, and every class. Not all the way, not all the way to 90, but level 90. But I've got played a little bit of everything there, and I gotta say, I understand why they had you able to play either the Alliance or the Horde. It's everybody everybody wants to take a side. Beg your pardon. Everybody wants to take a side. Everybody wants to play cowboys or Indians. Everybody wants to play cops or robbers. But and to that, you got to try and make both sides at least partially sympathetic. But no matter how you dice it, the fluff for World of Warcraft is pretty explicit. It's the Alliance are the protagonists, and the Horde, despite having various justifications and rationalizations and Freudian excuses, uh, they are the villains. And the Forsaken is about the worst example of it. The Forsaken are the undead, for lack of race is a awkward term, but uh, former slaves of the Lich King who broke their control. But the problem is that they are just as villainous as they are. It's supposed all sorts of tragic backstory of how they came to be, and and you're supposed to empathize with their struggle to survive, but you're playing this game, you're running around and seeing how the Forsaken conduct their day-to-day business, and they are doing stuff that would make Mengele puke his own teeth up. I mean, they are dumping killer plagues on other nations. They are, experimenting on prisoners of war. And they all but annihilated an entire kingdom because they were squabbling over a claim to some of the land there. They had all, they were all from an area called Lordaeron. They had all died. They had all been resurrected by the Lich King, and then broke away from his control and came back home to Lordaeron to find out, oh, hey, guess what? The living resettled there. And their response was basically to start slaughtering and spraying death plagues all over the country just to get rid of the living who were trespassing. Excuse me. Stomachache. And I'm still nibbling at those candies. Get out of my face. That's the problem with a stomachache. You want to put something else on top of it to make the stomach stop hurting. But at a certain point, putting anything, swallowing anything more just makes it a bigger problem. I've still got these oxycodone acetaminophen here. I'm never going to go on a course of them for several days, I'll tell you that much. But I really don't even want to try one of them. They're potent, but, oh man. If I'm ever in enough pain to use one, you'll know the pain is serious. Oh, we got a couple of new pledges for Kickstarter. That's nice. The goal, we are at the 2,000 mark. We have broken the 2,000 mark. We are 1/10 of the way. And there's something like 50 days left. All those rewards, they're going to keep, all those, I updated the rewards section. I was given a nice long list of suggestions, and I took them. And, but if this goes through, I'm going to be a very busy man in 2015. Barack Obama, Junior Varsity since 1977. Gwyneth Paltrow said of Obama, "It would be wonderful if we were able to give him all the power he needs to pass the things he needs to pass." They're really that, they want a king. They want an emperor. People, this is an object like the Ebola and the viruses. Let's see what is it? We've got an outbreak in this country, and I'm sorry, if you have one Ebola case, you have hundreds. It's only one case. It's only two. It's only two cases in the whole country. No, what you mean is that it's only two people that have been caught. Both of the infected people have been walking around for days. And they brought, so, no, this is getting far worse than they. It's like seeing a cockroach. You see one cockroach, there's a million of them someplace. You see one mouse or rat, you got a nest of them someplace. You see one person with a disease, there are God only knows how many people who have been exposed to them, and how many other people in the chain before him. This is an object lesson in why our borders are not just a philosophical issue. Nations need to keep borders for things like this, to prevent the spread of diseases. I don't care how compassionate you want to be. Somebody coming into this country, they need to be screened. And not just for diseases, but for, connections to terrorist organizations, criminal background. If you don't, you pay in blood. Okay, hold on. What I'm going to do here, that's... yeah. Okay, this is the reason. Now this guy here is not in one of the ships down here. These are actually ships. They've got 6 war worlds to deal with. This guy here is on board the Sabot launcher from the previous page. From the previous pages, rather. hold on. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I'm trying to do, putting the cart before the horse here. I really miss that music. I really do. I just. Uh, hmm. I've noticed that once I started doing Kickstarter, once I had a Kickstarter thing up, the Remoras came out of hiding. All the little side companies that make a living off the fringes of the whole Kickstarter crowdfunding phenomenon. We will promote your Kickstarter and get thousands of people to go past it for a low fee of $50 or $100 or $200. Promotional services, that sort of thing. My grade school history teacher liked to say that the people running businesses in the gold rush made more money than most of the prospectors did. Because, of course, when you're a kid, they played up how unfair it was, really, or they really didn't contradict it. They said these companies, these gold miners would go out there, and then the companies would follow behind and start selling them stuff at like 10, 15, 20 times the regular price. And of course, being kids, that's unfair. That's dirty doings. They come out there and they're trying to get rich, and all these people are just, robbing them blind. What we were all forgetting, what nobody bothered to teach us or point out to us, was that these companies didn't get out there for free. They were literally traveling thousands of miles into unsettled wilderness with tons and tons of cargo, of goods, dry goods, tools, equipment, just everything. And the only reason anybody brought anything out there was to make a profit. And if you were going to go that far just to sell prospecting pans and picks, you were going to make it worth your time. And that was only right. Now you realize that being children, our solution would have been, well, somebody ought to make them sell that stuff for. And you know what would have happened? First of all, anybody with any common sense would have stayed home. They would have not come out at all to these godforsaken sections of the country where there was no civilization at all. The prospectors were out there trying to get greedy by digging rocks out of the ground. These businessmen, these tradesmen, they were at least bringing something out there that the prospectors could use. But if they didn't, if they tried to, if they were going to go all those thousands of miles, only to be told that they had to sell it for the exact same price they would have sold it back in, like, Ohio, why would they have gone in the first place? Anybody with any common sense would have never gone. And the few who might have gone and not thought it through and gone anyway, they would have run out of supplies in no time flat. Because and it would have all of the stuff would have gone to the few prospectors who had struck it rich, because they would have bought up everything. They would have been first in line. Same principle, Everybody thinks that the rules of capitalism somehow stop applying, during extraordinary events. They don't. If anything, they become more pronounced and all that much more necessary. Nobody should be forced to sell something for less than they think they want to get out of it. These are not. This is not your stuff. It is their stuff. They brought it all the way out here to sell to you, and if you don't like the price, go someplace else. Beg your pardon? Capitalism is based on fundamental economic and ethical principles. And yes, I am not misspeaking when I say ethical. for capitalism, the very fundamental basic of capitalism is non-coercive exchange, voluntary exchange, which means recognizing that other people's property is their property. All forms of capitalism requires all forms of coercion, whether by force or by deceit, are anathema to the principles of capitalism. If an exchange took place that did not, if an exchange took place that was not voluntary and involved explicit deceit, that is not capitalism. It is theft. Capitalism, the fundamental rule, the established axioms of capitalism could be stated as: thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness. Are you following what I'm saying? And whether it's a normal day-to-day business or an urgent crisis. As of note, I read somewhere that the kanji, the Chinese symbol for crisis and opportunity are exactly the same. And that's a very insightful philosophy to take. Because an opportunity for one person is for another. And the functional difference between a crisis and an opportunity, there isn't one. There isn't really a difference. They both require an immediacy and an urgency of decision. Any whose rules change during either a crisis or an opportunity should be severely and carefully reconsidered. True morals don't change, and the principles of true morals do not change in the face of a crisis, and the principles of capitalism are true objective morals. Many people don't like the principles of capitalism, but many people don't like basic morality either. Life is much easier when you can just simply lie or steal to get what you want. Capitalism is the exact opposite of that. Which is why so many people hate it. Excuse me. There's some rather vivid color combinations out of these critters. Sorry, I'm trying to think of a few things. Um, don't know if you read a lot of fan fiction. I know it's one of the common things, especially the characters that are Mary Sue's or bordering on Mary Sue's. The character gets dropped into, the protagonist gets dropped into another world, and they always inexplicably nowadays have their, well, it's not really, come to think of it, it's not really inexplicable that they would have it. They have their cell phone, and they have their smartphone on them, and they have, a huge collection of what they think is the uber coolest music ever, and they play it for the natives, and the natives, no matter what genre it is, the natives go gaga for it. I mean, it can be some of the most atonal, uh, you know, grating stuff. I'm sorry, this is what you call a sort of a lack of perspective, a lack of inability to step outside your own tastes. The average person is not going to be enamored with your death metal, your favorite indie death metal band. I'd like to see, just a couple of, needs once in a while they need a story where the protagonist pulls out his collection of best of polka or whatever, and the native audience just turns it, just can't stand it, and not because they're Philistines. People have a problem with being able to see things through other people's eyes and hear them through their ears. It's a human problem. Sometimes it's an overstated problem. Quite frankly, there are some perspectives that aren't worth the waste of time to figure out. But they just can't imagine that nobody, uh, they got fan fictions of the protagonist, which is a self-insert Mary Sue, being transported to the realm of Lord of the Rings, and just making all the elves swoon with her harp-played rendition of the latest hits by Evanescence. Nowadays, popular music is fairly well accepted. Most people, with most sensible people, don't generally get their knickers in a twist, running around screaming, yelling, "That demon rock and roll!" But most people forget in any culture something that's shocking. People have to take time to adjust to it. And you're talking, for instance, something like music. Most of these stories they have, they're going into a culture that's utterly different, and they're cranking out stuff that was shocking to people back in their own country, and surprised, and yet these stories, all the people in this other realm just lap it up. Well, I mean, back in the you remember Back to the Future. Uh, Barney McFly starts playing Johnny B. Good. He had enough sense to play music from that era, and then he started flipping out like an '80s hair band lunatic, and people just gawked at him like he lost his mind. The people that wrote that that bit, got the point. Everybody wants to write, the Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's court. If you follow what I'm saying. Mark Twain did get one thing right. He understood that getting new ideas accepted in that culture was going to be an uphill battle. And his character, his protagonist, did struggle. To get his ideas accepted. And failed at the end. People are very careful to forget that in Mark Twain's original version, he blamed the collapse after King Arthur's death on the Catholic Church marching in. People had a very dim view of the Catholic Church back in those days, and not without reason. Yes, many of the sins of the Catholic Church were exaggerated, but not all of them.
There's no way to draw a perfectly spherical ship to look dangerous. Hmm. Eh. Tricky. Let's see here. Work on an idea here. Okay, now we need a grid. Let's see. Images for spaceship hull. Okay, a few ideas there. Eh, well, that'll work. Okay. Pardon? Okay, let's see here. Okay. No, that won't work. Try something else here. Just okay. And section. The resemblance to the Death Star is entirely coincidental. By the way, let's see. No. That's not working either. I'm going with the original idea here. You know, I think the reason that the TIE fighters were so sinister is because they give the subliminal impression of a giant eyeball. Just something that just crossed my mind. The idea is that each of these spheres is basically, it uses the same principle as the sapphire star for their gravity. For their artificial gravity, it's centered on the core, quote unquote, of the ship. The pilot is, from their perspective, lying on their back, looking up from the center of their ship, from the center of their little world. So from their perspective, every direction is up. makes it just strikes me that that would be a lot easier on a pilot of a ship that was traveling and that would have to, on occasion, deal with a tremendous number of G forces. This is these are the ships they break out when things are going to get seriously hardcore. They're basically a ball of weapons. With a massive a massively oversized power supply in the artificial gravity made very simple, all pulling towards the center, which makes it easier to adjust for changes in G forces when they change direction. Also makes it easier. Basically, the ship just rotates around its own center to change direction. And so one of the things that you have to overcome when you're training to be a pilot on these jets that they have now is to the struggle to ignore your physical sensations. Because when that thing jumps off the end of the runway, because it is pulling you backwards, it feels like the nose of your plane just went straight up. Because all the G-force is pulling you straight back. And so they have to train themselves. They have to be trained to ignore their physical sensations. And fly entirely by instrument, which, to my way of thinking, that's backwards, kind of backwards. You want to incorporate every sense that the pilot has into the task of flying, not try and shut some of them off. There were some designers that tried to experiment with that. They made cockpits where the pilot would lie down on their stomach. That sort of thing. The results were kind of iffy. Because, quite frankly, we're not flying creatures. And our next, despite how Superman flies around, can you imagine the crick in the back of his neck at the end of the day? Because he's basically, it's like he's standing straight up and craning his head back as far as he can just to see where he's going. In this design, the Thunderball with the gravity at the center of the ship and the pilot essentially lying on his back, he would have better control. He would be his sense of balance would not be fighting him. He would not be struggling as much to ignore his internal senses and pay attention only to his instruments. Now, realistically, a lot of engineers going, "Oh, well, a real proper, spaceship wouldn't have any windows. You wouldn't have a front port, a front, viewport. You wouldn't have a cockpit. You'd have nothing but instruments, and maybe a monitor screen somewhere in the center of the ship, safely tucked away." And I'm like, yeah, that sounds practical. But it doesn't take into account human psychology. Because at the end of the day, it's a lot harder to make a window fail than it is to make a screen fail. If you follow what I'm saying. And people want to be able, in all circumstances, it doesn't matter. It's a matter of human psychology. We are not accustomed or designed to be stuffed into a box with no window. We don't handle that well. That is why every ship every vessel in the space program has had a window on it. Even if it was just a little bitty thing. At the end of the day, all the engineers' clever designs don't matter in the face of the fact that a real human being has to fly the thing. Where's the editor? Where's the how very odd. decided to be cantankerous. Oh, doggone it. Where's the little rotatey thing? These things are supposed to be made with a little, rectangle, ellipse, preset shape. Darn thing. There we go. Never understand these things. Yeah, well, the test pilots for the Air Force have been continually frustrating the engineers with their unreasonable demands for like controls. That is true. There's the NASA program, the Apollo program. When they were first getting ready to shoot the first man into space, every last one of the pilots, as it was first described, they were basically just going to be a helpless lump of meat along for the ride. They said, I don't think so. They demanded to have some sort of control over the vehicle. They had to go back and redesign it because none of the pilots would get in there unless they had some sort of control over the capsule. They demanded a window. They demanded the ability to see outside. They demanded control over the vessel. These are just basic things. These are that human psychology demands, that human nature demands. And so, for all the engineers talk about, oh, they'll never make spaceships like this in the future, if they're making them for human beings, yes, they will. just there, merge all. There we go. I don't know. Yeah, I'll go with it. Effects. Edge effects. Edge enhance. There's duplicate. Okay. Fix. Just about. Ellipse. No, it's not going to work either. It's just. Stupid frickin' tool. I told it. Told it not to create on vector. No, that doesn't work either. Well, maybe it does. Sure. It's getting seriously windy outside. Either it must be a new storm blowing in. I'm going to check the weather in a little bit. All right. Perhaps if we turn up to 100%, there we go. These little vessels follow the standing design principle of there is no kill like overkill. Uh, yep, it's raining outside. I like a rainy night. I love a rainy night. I love a rainy night. Yay. Yeah. I'd like them a lot more if I was 100% confident my roof wasn't leaking. I haven't spotted any leaks, but I've got water stains on my roof and it's hard on my ceiling and it's hard to tell. Kind of a bummer. I wonder, do I still have those? Let me see here. I used to have some textures and shadows that... nope. Typical. Oh well. Sooner or later, somebody's going to ask, where are all the black people at? There you go. There's one. They once asked Gene Roddenberry why there weren't any... Somebody asked Gene Roddenberry why there weren't any Muslims on the Enterprise. He just looked him dead in the eye and said the Muslims are about the past. This is supposed to be about the future. And everybody say, ooh. Yeah. Sick burn! You know. Okay, that's enough. That'll be enough for today, Guinevere. Alright, let's see here. You know, I read a lot of libertarian sites, comics too. Yes, they do exist. I'm sorry, as a movement, no. The more I see of libertarianism, the less I believe that they are capable of creating the kind of society they promise. First off, because libertarianism has a depressing, depressing tendency to enamor atheists. Atheists and militant agnostics. No lie, militant agnostics. You know the kind. I don't know, and neither do you. They're immensely smug about their ignorance, too. Of all the things to be proud of, to be proud of the fact that you're convinced you can't possibly know something. Far too many of the prominent figures. One of the things about the founding fathers is that they were devoutly religious. They were devoutly Christian. No, they were. Everybody runs around saying, "Oh, this one was." They're trying to claim deists, and in the memoirs of these men and the memoirs of families, it was repeatedly stressed. Many of them were absolutely distressed that such a notion had already taken hold. Even back then, people were saying, "Oh, these were enlightened men. They weren't of any particular sex," and they were saying, "No, I'm sure there were a couple of them. I mean, there were a large group of men with a lot of eccentricities, but outside of Thomas Jefferson." And Benjamin Franklin, I wouldn't say any of them were deists, and I'm not so sure about Ben Franklin, because many of them stated in their memoirs they were members of specific churches and devout to them. Okay, I'm going to be right back in just a second. I was just checking a few things here. I'll be right back. Okay, as I was saying, these men were devoutly Christian. That was no accident that what they accomplished was so great. But the libertarians, more and more I've read of libertarians, the ongoing theme they envision, like the communists before them, like the Marxists before them, and the utopians who ran the French Revolution. Their vision of a utopia is a world without Christianity. They say religion in general, but I guarantee you it'd be Christianity that they'd want to sweep under the rug first. Their vision of a perfect society is one where religion is something that, your Christian faith is something that's, not public. It's something private. You keep to yourself. You don't let it out. You don't. Outside of this being anathema to the very principles of Christianity, Christianity being a evangelical faith, who's one of the most fundamental teachings is that our duty is to save the souls of our fellow man with our witness. A society where they envision it as a world without any religion. That it was something you kept private unto yourself. I've seen places without any obvious religion. They're shitholes. Let's not parse words. Let's not be too fussy, and prissy to say it. They're shitholes. I've seen, whether you're talking a neighborhood or a city or an entire country, just seeing a neighborhood where religion isn't welcome. Some of the most unpleasant places on earth. And again, that's no accident. As one of our founding fathers put it, if our nation ever ceased to be good, it would cease to be great. Our Constitution is only sufficient for the governing of a virtuous people. It is completely insufficient for any other kind. And sad news, we've not been a God-fearing people in some time. But the libertarians imagine that they are going to build a society that is better, freer, and more secure than what the Founding Fathers came up with, but they're going to do it without God. And I've said this before. Atheists, when several people have been, criticized publicly for saying that atheists have no moral compass. They have no moral barometer. And that's the truth. That is not the same thing as saying that they're evil people, or even particularly immoral or unethical. But they have no moral barometer. They have no moral compass. They can't. They can't have one, because atheism provides no answer as to why one thing is moral and another thing is not, save mob. That's the only reason anything becomes considered a virtue or vice in an atheist world. Because the majority said so. And anybody who's looked at history knows just how much that is worth. I've said it before. The best illustration it was a movie I saw. Is a Christian movie. Is supposed to be about a time traveler who travels from 18 whatever, and he's one of these secular ethicists, and his friend sends him to the future, and when he comes back. Anyway, the guy goes to the future and sees how unethical and morally depraved and corrupt and everything we are compared to how we were in the 1890s. He goes forward. He comes out in the 1990s. Anyway, there's one scene. He's in the future. He's sitting in a park. He's just bought himself his first hot dog, and he's sitting. He's about to eat it, and some kid runs up and grabs it and runs off with it. He's like, hey! He goes after the kid, grabs her, catches her by the arm, and says, why are you doing this? He's like, that's stealing. That is wrong. And she says, says who? That is a question that atheists cannot answer. The best they can come up with, the sorry explanation, the common consensus, and we all, evolve towards more virtuous, and blah 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 blah. It all boils down to the same answer, because the most people rule. Virtue by electoral vote. Virtue by mob rule, and that's all they can provide. Atheists, question, even people in anybody in a religion at least has a guiding star, a true north to follow. The Muslims and the other religions, they have it wrong, and I don't apologize for saying that. Why be a Christian if you don't believe you're right? If you don't believe your religion is right, why are you following it? But I just come to this and I look at this and I go, Yes, this is self-evident. The various religions of the world disagree over where the North Star is. Atheists say there is no North Star at all. And that every man may go whichever way he pleases. And we'll figure it out by trial and error. Whatever works. Well, I hate to break it to these atheists in the Libertarian Party. Tyranny kind of works. For a while. Oppression and cruelty and slavery, horrible things in this world work in the immediate. And if there is no consequence after this life, what do you care? No reason to care. And any reason you might invent is just, I'm doing this for my children. Uh-huh. And when are you going to care about your children after you're dead? You're not going to be there to care. That's what I don't get, is that you don't even believe in a soul, so you basically believe that everything that cared about your goals is going to disappear. So, why does anything you do matter? You have no guiding light. You have no guiding star. And you have dedicated your life, and if you're an atheist, you've dedicated your life to convincing yourself that it doesn't matter that you have no guiding star. But the rest of us have seen what happens when you don't follow true north. Excuse me. Oh. Tried to turn it off and hit the wrong button again. Oh well. I think I stretched something with that sneeze. Woo. Ah. And I'm sorry, but the reason nobody trusts atheists is precisely because of that fact. You wouldn't get in a car with somebody who didn't believe in road rules. I don't believe in the DMV. That's just a superstition to keep it. If you need to believe in the state patrol, I love that argument. If you need a god to threaten you, to be, threaten you and promise you rewards to be good, then you're not a good person at all. I want to get behind the wheel with these guys and just start careening around the road, and they go, "What are you doing? The cops are going to pull your butt over." And I say, if you need to believe in the highway patrol to be a good driver, I don't believe in it. It's just a silly superstition. And what they're saying is that you're stupid for believing that actions have consequences beyond the immediate. And life, from beginning to end, is pretty immediate, no matter how you look at it. It's stupid. It's a stupid statement. Everybody behaves the way they do because they believe that those actions have rewards and or consequences. Pretending that you're virtuous without any... That's the stupidest thing in the world. Pretending that, an atheist pretending that they're virtuous, without regard to the consequences. They don't know why they believe what they believe. They believe it, though. They don't know why they behave the way they do. I'll tell you why. Because they were marinated in it from birth. You take somebody who claims to be an atheist for like the majority of their lives. And they live their entire lives in a very Catholic community. Oh, what a surprise! Many of their most fundamental values are Catholic. You raise them in a Hindu community, and I don't care how atheist they say they are, their values and their mores and their customs and their ethics will be Hindu. But you take a Christian, and you put them in any of those communities, and their values will be Christian, no matter where they are, because they have a compass and not a weather vane. That's the fundamental problem with the libertarian movement is that it is so dominated by atheists and by atheist philosophy and atheist outlook. I will not fault their objective analysis of the situation, but and of political. They could not build what they proposed to build to last. It would not last. I noticed this. I've read their fiction. Their hypothetical scenarios, and one thing they have in common, all these libertarian fictional societies have in common, is that the people in them have a literally religious devotion. You heard me. A religious devotion to libertarian philosophy, and nobody bothers to question how long that would last without some sort of moral guiding star. The first thing out of a kid's mouth once they get to a certain level of independence is, says who? And the libertarian is not going to be able to answer. The libertarian parent is going to give a lot of guff about long-term ethos, and the kid's going to be going, yeah, right, and in the long term we're all dead. So why should I care? Somebody who tells you that they're an atheist, they're a moral atheist, what they're saying is that they behave themselves because of mob rule. They don't see it that way, but it is. And a society of people who think like that, who act like that, who morally evaluate the universe like that. I'm sorry, utilitarianism has some very extreme limits. You know, the whole problem with the whole, Spock logic Vulcan type thing. Any system of logic requires some axioms, truths that cannot be proven, but which are accepted as true. Atheism doesn't have that. Atheism doesn't provide that. Atheism, in fact, insists that the exact opposite is true, that nothing is absolute. That there is no final authority. That is wrong, says who? They insist that their values are absolute. The libertarians are out there insisting that their values are absolute, but they have no reason to say that their way is any better than anybody else's, absolute than anybody else's. And again and again and again, we have seen what happens when atheism is adopted as a socio-political policy. The doctrine of communist China, atheist. The doctrine of the Soviet Union was atheist. Doctrine of the French Revolution was just atheist plus 2, They were determined to exterminate any trace of religion, even going so far as to changing the names of the days of the week. Sounds crazy, but every other atheist or agnostic society has eventually come to that point where they start doing absolutely, just absolutely ridiculous stuff. The only difference between our society now and the Aryans in Germany in the 1930s is that our would-be smotherers of Christianity have got to do everything they do with a smile. They don't go around preaching, this is for the betterment of humanity. This is for, the great triumphal ascendance of man. Now they're going, oh, we're being sensitive. We're being so kind. We're being sensitive. Don't you appreciate us for our sensitivity? And they kindly, compassionately smother you to death in your bed with your own pillow. Kevorkian style. If you ever get an idea to go over Europe, don't go over there when you're looking old or sick. They're already whacking their elderly and physically handicapped left and right. I think the estimate is that some countries are doing in about close to 1,000 people a year. Quality of life. We've seen what atheists do when they get in power. They don't have to go with the flow anymore. They can set their own rules, and they don't have any final absolute authority on morality when they do it. So they do that which is right in their own eyes, and innocent people die for it. But the libertarians think that the atheists are the bee's knees. That they're somehow more rational than the rest of us. There are Christian libertarians, small L libertarian, but they're the ones heading up the party. Another thing I've noticed is that the libertarians are absolutely, the libertarians as a party are absolutely wedded to the idea of abortion. any group that claims to be for the rights of the innocent, that claims to hold the rights of man in absolute esteem, yet does not hold adamantly to the right to life, is a liar. They're lying to you and they're lying to themselves. To simultaneously have hold individual rights in such high regard, and yet turn around and say, "Oh well, the baby doesn't matter." Something fundamentally wrong there. I think far too many libertarians are libertines instead. They're the I can do whatever I want party. They figure that libertarians Libertarian Party will let them smoke dope and screw all over the place. And that's the only reason they join. That's the only reason they see anything in it. Because they don't want those old fuddy-duddies telling them that getting knocked up and getting one abortion after another is wrong. They don't want to hear that. They don't want to be told that having whores on every street corner is a bad thing. They don't want to hear it. Just like every other. And that makes me regard capital L libertarianism as having a fundamental dangerous flaw. It may be that libertarianism may break away from the pack and start promoting something better. One can hope. There we go. The Rangers are on their way, and they are not happy. Well, Shadow Hunt. I'm libertarian leaning myself. I'm pro-life. There are a lot of libertarians, little L libertarians, to be clear, that do not support abortion. But the Libertarian Party, capital L, is pro-abortion in its platform. Are they interested in human rights and liberty, or are they just interested in the liberty part? You see, because with rights comes responsibilities. Liberty brings freedom, but rights bring responsibilities. I don't think very many people who say they're libertarian could cope very well in a libertarian society, because they would suddenly find themselves completely responsible for things that they left up to faceless authorities. It would be a terrible adjustment period for many people. Some wouldn't adjust at all. People who think they're libertarian, oh, they do great with free dope, but everybody being allowed to smoke dope. But when it came time to protect your own property, or or to go out and handle things, or like say, I'm trying to think of traffic laws. Let's say traffic laws. We are used to having an overweening government putting signs up everywhere and do this, do not do that, and having 1,000 different regulations to protect us. Having to go out and evaluate, we go to a grocery store expecting to have a government seal on anything. Oh, this is perfectly safe. In a open, free trade, completely capitalist society, you would have to learn to recognize when a product was safe or not. Now there are private companies like Underwriters Laboratory. I always wonder what that little UL on the cardboard boxes, on some cardboard boxes, was. It's Underwriters Laboratory. They're a company that tests products for private companies. Well, anyway, people would have to learn about Underwriters Laboratory and about Underwriter Laboratory competitors, and they would have to learn which product testers were were the most reliable name in the business, and which weren't. They couldn't just look for a government sticker on it, and just one. They would have to learn, and they would learn to their shock that they couldn't sue at the drop of a hat for stupid things. I'm suing. I nearly got electrocuted. You stuck your thumb in a light socket, didn't you, precious? Oh, yeah? Guess what? Case closed. Yeah. But libertarians at least have certain values that they claim fundamental to their, don't hurt people. As one man put it, it's all summed up as don't hurt people and don't take their stuff. But if people cannot, if the Libertarian Party cannot agree on the right to life. The right to life is, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Life, liberty, property. All the others depend on that first one. It's kind of hard to have, a right to freedom of speech if you're dead. It's kind of hard to exercise your right to freedom of the press if you are aborted. So, if they won't protect the right to life, if they can't get their crap all in one sock and agree on something so fundamental, and when in fact they are largely dominated by those who come down on the other side, then the Big L Libertarian Party is not ever going to get anywhere, and if it does get anywhere, anything it tries to build will not last, because it will not have a solid, godly, moral, ethical foundation. This isn't, a minor issue. This isn't some minor fringe issue which different parts of the party can sit down and quibble over. This is, brass tacks. The right to life, the right to liberty, the right to your private property. And private property is a right. Because you have a right not to be robbed. The fact that the Libertarian Party has, all these different movements all seem to have the same thing. They have this vision of utopia where there's no more religious people to bother them. That ought to be disturbing question number one. Where do they expect us all to go? There's a book, as a fiction, sci-fi book by a libertarian anarchist. Really, they call him anarchist. That's not correct. Anarchy is no government. Libertarianism is almost no government. There's kind of a big difference, actually. But he's a libertarian, and he wrote a book called The Probability Broach about an alternate Earth, an alternate reality portal. Starts opening portals into other dimensions, and there's the Probability Broach and the America Zone are both part of that series, and they're a fun read. And of course, there's a lot of libertarian topics and issues brought up, but even own fantasy world, even in his own ideally constructed libertarian society, which was prosperous beyond all imagining, it all boils down to that this dimension, the Whiskey Rebellion, went entirely different. The people in the Whiskey Rebellion decided that they were not going to consent to being taxed, and they succeeded in pushing through a revolution where George Washington was arrested for trying to mint a new tax and shot. and as a consequence, their society just took off. They were driving hovercraft around in the same era that our world had Conestoga wagons. You get the idea. Anyway. The threat to their world was a party of federalists. People that wanted to put their country under one big, strong, powerful, all overarching state. And they did not like that. But the thing of it was, by their own laws, they couldn't intervene. It was revealed. They got the government together. They called the National Congress together, and the villain of the piece admitted they had stolen the probability broach technology. They had the technology to poke holes through the walls of the universe, and they were going to use it to start dropping nukes. They didn't say they were going to drop nukes. They said that they had nukes, and that they had the probability broach, which meant they could drop nukes anywhere they wanted in the world. And by the Libertarian Society's own laws, nobody could stop him. And the only reason that they weren't subjected to a nuclear terror war is because the protagonist of the story, who had escaped from an overweening government world to the libertarian world, challenged him to a duel and shot him. their own government, uh, even in his own ideal scenario, a truly libertarian was helpless in the face of a genuine threat. This was a scenario for a complete big L libertarian world. They had no border laws. They had, and anybody who's looked at the Ebola reports of late can figure out at least one reason that we need border security. Borders don't happen by accident. Borders happen when two nations form and they disagree about who should be in charge, how things should be run. A border is a mark of irreconcilable differences. That one group of people wants to live one way and another group of people wants to live another way, no matter how minuscule the differences are. They want to live under one set of laws and another one wants to live under another set of laws. And the border is to keep people from trying to encroach upon the other's sovereignty. A nation without borders soon becomes nothing more than the property of a few other nations. It ceases to exist. That's another flaw with the libertarians, is the hardcore libertarians don't believe in borders. Does the phrase "one big beautiful world government" give you an idea? Many of the things that are adopted by the Libertarian Party are irrational, self-contradictory, and self-defeating. And the reason that they are such have such minimal influence on our society is because they're not willing to accept even half a loaf. No matter what the conservatives bring to the table, if it isn't 110%, if it isn't 99.44% pure libertarian perfection, the libertarians grab the ball and go home. The fact that this is how Clinton got in power. This is how Obama got in power. Because the people with at least some conservative values did better than perfection. Bush wasn't conservative enough for them. The candidates that ran against Clinton were not conservative enough for them, and the result was we ended up with a Kenyan Quisling in power, because all the hardcore libertarians took their ball and went home. the Conservative Party can't. The conservative side of the aisle cannot stick by its core fundamentals and quibbles with itself over trivialities. We're divided and the enemy conquers. Okay, it is 9:42. Let's see here. That's just not a good. Okay. Ugh, excuse me. I'm going to leave the dialogue for tomorrow. We'll do that tomorrow. Right now, I'm going to call it a night. And, it's been a busy, kind of busy day. Been running back and forth and stuff. So I'm going to curl up. Sleep. Well, I'm going to wish you all a good night. Hope to see you again tomorrow. Hope to see more of you tomorrow. I don't know. Maybe advertise. I don't know. Well, anyway, I wish you all a good night, and ask my fellow Christians if you'd say a prayer for me, because Lord knows I need it. Y'all take care. Y'all have a good night.